First off, PURPZUKI, what brought you into the world of content creation? Like, how did you get into this world, and how did you really figure out what you wanted to do in it?
Yeah, so content creation as a whole kind of stems from a long time ago, actually. I want to say, 'cause how old am I now? I'm 24. Um, I'd say probably like 11 years ago. I want to say I was 13 or 14 when I started like creating content. It was all Minecraft and really, really horribly made digital art that I did on Instagram back in the day. Um, and I really enjoyed doing that, and I grinded to, grow my audience and stuff, and, was doing art trades with other artists to expand my community and, playing with different people and, doing little things that would make it seem more like a community. And that ended up dying off as I was focused. I became, because that was mostly middle school for me and maybe freshman year of high school a little bit. Um, but I started focusing more on school, and a lot of my friends started kind of leaving the communities or, going on long hiatuses that turned into them just, not coming back at all. And so that had its time. And very recently, this was only September, end of September, I started streaming again and started making videos on TikTok because my buddy Cortex, which I know some people in adjacent communities of Anubises are aware of Cortex OW. He is my like main friend that I used to play Overwatch with, and he was like, "Would you support me if I started streaming?" And I'm like, yeah. And then I saw how much fun he was having, and I decided, you know what, let me jump on this too. I think it would be cool to, create content just like him. And I'm seeing other people on TikTok do the same thing and posting their clips on there. I wanted to do that too, and here we are.
Yeah, that's actually how I kind of got into it too. I always loved watching YouTube. I always loved watching YouTube. I always loved watching the edits, and I tried editing for a while in high school. Tried editing my own videos, stuff like that. I didn't really have a community or anybody to really play with back then. So it was just me and maybe one or two other people just like going through WoW playthroughs or whatever. But
Hmm.
yeah, um that's kind of how I got into content creation. And then of course I went to college and I flunked out of university, then I went to community college and I went for graphic design. So here we are.
Nice,
But
nice.
yeah, nah. That's actually, we kind of have a similar thing there. But what made you want to become a content creator rather than a watcher, and how did you come up with your brand idea? I know your favorite color is the color purple or whatever.
Who would have
Sorry.
guessed?
Who would have guessed, right? Your name is PURPZUKI. But I know your favorite color is the color purple. I know that PURPZUKI does have a meaning to it, and like everybody's brand, you have a special place in your heart for it. So if you don't mind explaining how you came up with your brand and what made you really take on the content creation grind.
Yeah, so onto the brand thing, like it's always been some variation of purple combined with other things. So back in the day, my first username in Minecraft was Purple Kitty 18, which turned into Perps the Nerd, which turned into or I'm sorry, it was Purple Kitty 18, then Purple Kitty Nerd, which I got bullied for a lot in middle school, and then turned into Perps the Nerd. Um, and then from there, one of my online friends named Glaff, I'm totally out of contact with her. If anyone knows GLAF Glaff, I would love to be in contact with her again, but she realized that Perps was also like you could take the Z at the end of that and combine it with one of my favorite Vocaloid characters, Yuzuki Yukari. So you could take the Yuzuki and Perp and make Perpzuki. And so that's where Perpzuki comes from. Um, a funny story going all the way back about the color purple. It was actually that, as a kid, I really liked the color pink, and my mom said, you know what? I'm gonna give you creative freedom. Go ahead and pick out a color, and I'll find one that suits, our house better, and you can paint it as much as you want. We can do whatever you want. You can write on the walls, I don't care. And so I'm like, you know what? Just find me something pink and I will love it. And then she finds the most pale shade of pink your ass has ever seen. And we paint it, and legitimately, you could not tell it was pink unless you looked at the white ceiling for comparison. The walls looked white. And ever since then, I've been a firm purple believer because pink just didn't sit well with me after that incident.
I
Um,
Yeah, I can imagine.
yeah, pink trauma, if you will.
The pink trauma. But actually, back to the your brand name and how Yuzuki Yukari, I think it is one of your
Yeah.
favorite Vocaloids. You you have this kind of niche in your community where you're really into Vocaloids and stuff of that matter. Do you want to kind of explain on that and expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. So, Vocaloid is it's a genre, it's a synthesizer. By definition, it's a synthesizer program or software. But it's also a community, it is a music genre, um it kind of wraps itself up in J-pop as a whole, at least from the Western perspective. And that's because a lot of the synthesized voices that are considered Vocaloid get used and make covers of stuff that's J-pop because it's much more popular in Japan. But yeah, Vocaloid has always been a dear part um, of me. And when I was younger, I would listen to only Vocaloid music. And my favorite Vocaloids are Yuzuki Yukari, which is this. She's purple. I can't say much more. Rin Kagamine, which I cosplay. That was my first cosplay ever when I was really young. And Gumi, which I use alongside Yuzuki Yukari in an album that I made. I've always loved Vocaloid, and I'm trying to shove just a little bit of Vocaloid towards my audience. I would love nothing more than to have Vocaloid involved in all of my videos, whether it's in the background, just playing quietly, or if it somehow gets incorporated into the Overwatch, like I just posted a video to that has me like humming it in the background, and I've got the Vocaloid video in the top and my gameplay in the bottom, and it's just something I can't let go of. I love it a lot.
Yeah, no, you sometimes I come into your stream and stuff like that, and you're playing a lot of Vocaloid, and I didn't really know a lot about Vocaloid, and I still don't know a lot about Vocaloid, but watching your streams and watching and listening to some of it has kind of got not really got me on the train, but like kind of pushed its way into like being a little earbug for me sometimes, especially that recorder part in that one song.
Kyofu all back. I always pull out the recorder for that one. I would
Always.
play it for you now if Discord wouldn't suppress it.
Yeah, no. It's fine. But yeah,
It's
no,
so much fun.
yeah. I think one thing about content creation is you really have to have those niche things. You have to have those niche topics and things that you want to bring to your audience and to your content that really just sets you apart from everybody, because like ever since 2020 everybody has been trying to become a content creation because that's all there was to do. That's all there was to do in 2020 is become
It's
a
true.
content creator, because everybody was in their house, everybody was watching TikTok, everybody was just finding ways to really just push themselves to do stuff inside of their own home. So becoming a content creator was that quote unquote dream really skyrocketed in 2020 and during when the COVID hit.
Yep, yep.
It's just kind of a niche thing to do now, to actually like everybody's doing content creation. You don't want to be the same person. You don't want to be the same content creator as one of your friends. You don't want to be the same content creator as so and so, right? So having your own niche things, like for you, for instance, at Vocaloid, that obviously helps you a lot, and it helps you gain a lot more viewership and a lot more retention in your escapades when it comes to content.
Oh, absolutely. And I find it even more difficult to do that on TikTok, especially because and no hate to anyone who makes, Mercy main TikTok, but it is so hard to stand out when it comes to that because there's only so many different styles of pretty reses that you can do. And I find that pushing some other content to mix in with there and become known for other things, for instance, the goat brig cosplay is something that, sticks in people's heads a little bit more and makes them more willing to watch through a whole post if you are to be struggling.
Your cosplays are extremely good.
Yeah,
Um,
and Max Hale 4, he did an amazing Anna Brig cosplay as well. I mean, I kind of forced him to do some kind of cosplay, and he was like, "You know what? This one looks cool, and I know it'll make you happy because it's purple." Because he did Strike Anna, and he's not
that's
even like
funny.
nearly as crazy about the game as I am. He
Yeah,
plans on getting more into it once the competitive update comes out, but it's just such a sweet spot in my heart that he was willing to, put his own needs aside to, be a part of what I'm doing, and I thought that was really sweet of him.
yeah, yeah. So I know some people are still trying to find their niche thing, and like you said, there's only so many pretty things you can do with the same fucking content all the time. Like,
Mhm.
and I'm not, and no hate to anybody who's like a one trick or anything, because fuck it, I'm a Torb one trick. I Torb one trick my shit to GM4, and then I dropped harder
Hell
than a fucking
yeah.
stone in a lake. But it's fine. I'm in Masters again. It's whatever. But
The grind is
it's
real.
the grind is really real. I fucking hate it. I don't know why we still play this game. Per help. But yeah, no, like there's very niche things that uh you have to do in order to gain that retention, um to gain that audience that you are wanting to draw in and that you have already drawn in. Like
Mhm.
there's always going to be that one thing that's like, I like going to their stream because they do this, or I like going to that stream because they don't do this, but I like another person because they do that. So it's just content creation, I feel like, is just all about finding your niche and how you perceive how you perceive yourself in the form of how others perceive it. That that's really just all all content creation is just finding that niche and finding what works for you and what helps you gain retention. Like for you, for instance, it's the Goat Brig cosplay and the Vocaloid stuff, and just your personality in general when you're on stream is just so upbeat and happy, even though you rage on occasion. But
True, true. And thank you.
it's still a really upbeat and happy place to be. Did You already kind of talked about this, but whenever you started content creation, did you aspire to be a cosplayer, because you do cosplay? Did you aspire to be a cosplayer before a content creator, or did you aspire to kind of put the cosplaying into your content creation as you went?
So, cosplay in general has 100% been a hobby, and I haven't done that much in my life. I did a couple in high school. I mentioned I did Rin Kagamine the Vocaloid. That was freshman year of high school. I did Luca Megarine from Just Be Friends, another Vocaloid. But I didn't even like post pictures of that anywhere. And it's always just been something that I do to celebrate the the fandoms and the franchises that I enjoy. Recently the only cosplays I've really done were I did a Shinobu cosplay that was like honestly half-assed, and just kind of wanted to have something to wear to a convention. I did um a Spell Thief Lux cosplay, which was all done by just like thrifting and modifying clothes, so it wasn't anything like special and the colors weren't accurate. It felt so off. But this Brig cosplay was the first time I really thought in my head like I could use this not only to again appreciate and celebrate the fandoms that I'm in and the game that I have been playing nonstop for the last 2-3 years, but it's something that I could use, to make content and to show people that, I'm just not just a voice behind a screen.
Yeah. Uh, Actually, can we go back to you actually like thrifting about your cosplays and stuff like that? Because I know some people they 3D print their stuff. Some people they make it out of cardboard. Some people do it out of styrofoam. So what really brought you to the point of like I can do this cosplay and make it look hella fucking nice with this amount of effort?
Yeah, so every all the 3 or 4 other cosplays I had talked about had at least 50% of that thrifting stuff, and that was all just like trying to find the closest you could find. And while maybe the character was recognizable if you like knew that character, it means a lot more to be able to put actual effort into things. So the Brig cosplay itself was the first time I was like, I want to do this right. I want to have every detail as close to the original as possible. And even though there's still a lot of pieces of that cosplay that are unfinished, or I could have done a lot better, I'm really proud of this as the first one that I like took seriously. So the base of it, the dress, is hand stitched. I made the pattern myself by wrapping some um what's it called? Wrapping some of that saran wrap around my body and then like cutting that out and then tracing around fabric to cut, and of course leaving some leeway and stuff. And it was my first time in a long time since like home ec classes in middle school actually using a sewing machine and putting this thing together just from my mind and from the help of YouTube and from Alex. And Alex is Max Hale 4 for reference if I didn't mention that before. But it was such an experience because we also had all the foam that you mentioned earlier. Some people do it with foam. All of the armor pieces were made with foam, and we had to not only design those by hand, but we also covered them in I can't remember what it's called, but it's like glue to like keep a layer. And before the glue, shape it with a heating gun and letting it sit a certain way. And it's
Paper
all stuff that
mache?
was completely new. No, no, it's just the stuff that is used, the glue that's used for paper mache. Can't remember what it's called. Um,
I'll
but
figure it out later and put it on screen.
there we go. Yeah, like correction, it was da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we had to paint it and do different layers of painting, spray painting, hand painting. And then we had the props. The only part of that cosplay that neither myself nor Alex designed was the mace. The mace had a 3D print online that we bought for $5, and then we still printed it out using a 3D printer. Like you mentioned earlier, a lot of cosplayers use 3D printers. So we printed that out. Alex glued it all together. I did the painting on it. And it's so cool because it's got these mechanical things on it. And we had the brig shield, and that was a whole headache because we had to get some um sh- clear sheets of just plastic to hold the pieces together, because brig shield isn't just one piece. It's got like glass looking stuff on it. And then we tried putting lights on it, and those didn't really work out too well. They could be used for future photo shoots, but it was more of a headache than it was worth. And the wig, it was my first time like actually taking styling a wig seriously, and I actually took pieces of 2 different wigs and like glued the seams of the wig into another one and then trimmed it from there to give it more volume and mess with all the stuff I've never done before. And I even designed my own 3D prints, like the horns, for example, on the crown. I 3D printed those based off of a thing I designed in Tinkercad in like an hour, and we kept messing around and testing prints for that. So it's just a lot of work for things that are completely unexplored, but when you get so excited about a character, you get so excited about the potential of content creation, you get so excited about a convention that you want to go with your partner, just like everything wraps up to make the learning experience totally worth it in the end.
Yeah, that's actually really cool because like I'm a big guy, so I don't think I'd ever actually like try to cosplay anything except like maybe Reinhardt because I'm about the size of him. I'm like 6 inches off. But that's actually really cool because I've never actually heard how people like go about that and go through that because like yeah, I follow a lot of cosplayers on TikTok and stuff, and I watch some cosplayers on stream and stuff like that. But like, I've never actually heard like the in depth process of it, so that's actually really neat to find out.
Yeah, speaking of Ryan cosplays, I found one that was absolutely fantastic. Remind me to dig through my likes and send you it because it is so cool.
Sounds good. Someone in my chat actually asked a question about your Brig cosplay. Did you cosplay Brig because you enjoy cosplay, or did you cosplay Brig because you enjoy the character?
I did it more so because I enjoy Brig. It's
I'm
kind of
sorry.
funny because I
I'm
I had a
kidding.
whole progression. What's that?
Oh, I just faintly threw up. It's fine.
Oh no! Don't die.
No, I'm kidding. I'm a tank man in Overwatch 1, so Brig. Ugh.
I wasn't even there when she was released. Okay, it's a weird story in itself. I started playing Overwatch and I started on Moira because she was purple and I was told she was easy. So I did it. And
Fair enough.
then the Atlantic All-Stars Mercy came back to the vault or to the shop, and I was like, oh, it's purple. I refused to play Mercy, but you know what? Now that I can buy a skin that's purple and looks really nice, and some people consider rare, I think I'll give her a try. And then I started maining Mercy. And then the Goatbrig skin came out, and it had purple hair and like this indigo vibe. And I'm like, you know what? I've never touched Brig, and the person who introduced me to the game is a huge Brig simp and only plays Brig. You know what? Let me give her a try now that I can wear her fashionably and wear her in purple. And that's where we're at
Purple.
now. I mean,
Didn't,
obviously, I play a lot more Mercy, like game time wise overall,
but like purple. Like,
but
come on.
purple.
But
She's
purple.
purple. I also really wanted to do the Brig specifically. Like I was considering doing Atlantic All Stars Mercy cosplay, but I've seen a few Atlantic All Star Mercy cosplays and they look really intricate and really difficult. And there's, the
Yeah,
wings and the staff. It just
the
seems like a lot.
wing,
But then I looked
the
at Brig.
wings. Yeah,
Yeah. And I
the
looked at
wings are
Brig and I was
probably the
like,
worst.
yeah. I looked at Brig and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen someone do a Go Brig cosplay. I was like searching around the internet, like desperately looking for like files and other people's references and stuff. And I found a couple things online other than like the mace that we ended up using, but none of them had like finished products. I couldn't find anything online that showed like, oh, here's my photo shoot with the Brig. I'm working in progress on my Brig. Nothing like that. So I was like, I'm gonna be the Goat Brig cosplayer. I'm gonna be Goat Brig IRL. And now if you Google Goat Brig cosplay, I'm the first result. And that's success right there.
I'm actually I'm actually considering after the podcast of going up and looking Goat Brig cosplay to see if you actually are the first one up, and if it is,
I am.
I will post it on I'll post it on the video.
I'm gonna
Um,
I'm gonna check right now. I am. I'm the first one, baby.
nice, nice. That's success right there, people. That is
Hell yeah.
success. But yeah, no, that's really cool. So kind of cosplay and content creation kind of went hand in hand for you.
It
That was
did,
kind
yeah,
of
in the
a
end.
yeah, that was kind of a one of your niche things that kind of got you that viewership, got you that following that you needed.
Yeah, little booster. Keep myself having an image that people remember. And it's also hard because I'm afraid to change my profile picture because I'm afraid people are gonna forget who I am.
That's a tough one because mine's actually my logo, or
Mhm.
what I consider my logo. And if I change my profile picture, I'm afraid that people are going to people are going to forget that like I'm that Anubis.
Right.
Because like my profile picture is not one to scoff at. Like that actually took a lot of fucking effort to do in Premiere Pro and fucking After Effects and all that shit. It's difficult to do that, but
Respect the
yeah,
graphic grind.
yeah, it's difficult, but I think everything's difficult when you're first starting out and first starting content creation and making your own brand and stuff.
Heck yeah. Sorry if I'm a little quieter. My cat decided to sit on me.
We love pets in this. We love pets in
We
this
love
Twitch.
Maisie. She's a cutie pie.
But back to the questions. So, what made you fall in love with Overwatch in the first place? Because we've been talking a lot about Overwatch, we've been talking a lot about cosplay and stuff like that, but you are primarily an Overwatch streamer. And that's, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing at this point in time, but you are primarily an Overwatch streamer, as are probably going to be a few of the next possible content creators that I have in this podcast. But tell me what got you hooked on Overwatch and how you really learned how to play it and learned your way through it.
Yeah, as before mentioned, I started as Moira, um, and then slowly made my way working through other supports. But I got into the game off of a recommendation, and I was like, wow, I really haven't gotten the chance to play a game other than Minecraft. And you know what? Over COVID, I bought myself a brand new gaming PC and had that put together. And I'm like, you know what? Let me actually play something that is like a shooter, like a stereotypical like gamer game, to put it quite bluntly.
Not
And
the gamer
I
games.
remember yeah. I remember wanting to try out Overwatch a long time ago because I had some friends who were into it back in like early high school. And or no, that would be late high school, I believe. Because it came out
It came
what,
out in
2016?
2016. Yep.
Yeah. Um and so I gave it a try. And this again was in early 2022 or late 2021, I can't remember. After I bought this PC, and I just loved it. I loved that it was customizable. There were still like cute and girly things I could do while, being a fucking girl boss.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, that I really fell in love with the game by watching content, like YouTube content and stuff.
Mhm.
Because I've heard of the game because I'm an avid Blizzard fan. I love Blizzard, even though when Activision took over, it went downhill really fucking fast. But I love Blizzard. I love their games. I really heard about it because I was playing WoW a lot. I was playing World of Warcraft because I'm a fucking nerd. But I was playing World of Warcraft a lot, and I was playing Hearthstone and stuff like that. And so when Overwatch came out, I'm like, fuck it, that's a fucking game I want to play. But I had a shitty PC and I couldn't.
Uh, yeah.
So as soon as I got the money to buy myself a laptop, and as soon as I got the money to buy myself Overwatch, I hit that shit. And that's partially why I flunked out of university. But that's besides the point. But yeah, no, I as soon as I got my hands on the game, I fell in love with it. Then I hit ranked and I immediately hated myself.
Yeah. For the longest time it was the people that kept me in it. And now the people have gotten me to a high rank, and now I just like pride myself too much in it and I can't let it go.
Yeah. By the way, you said You said you played a lot with Cortex Overwatch, which hopefully at one point I'll have him on the podcast. But how did you
Sure.
actually meet?
Oh my god, this is fun. This was a Circuit Royale match, so this was Overwatch 2.
Oh,
He was playing Ana. I was either playing Mercy or Brig, I don't remember. But I remember
one
he
of the
was
two.
on his alt account, Sabiolbi, and
Oh,
I had been facing a lot of discrimination at that time because I was, still in between like plat diamond area, and I'm gonna be honest, the more you dive into the metal ranks, the more sexist people are. Because people who
yep,
don't care and people who just are like brainlessly playing the game and people who are in lower ranks are gonna be more likely to just be assholes. It sucks. And as a woman in the game, you don't get heard at all. Someone could literally hear you call out Kiriko no Suzu and just like immediately flip like there's a woman in the chat, I'm gonna throw this game. It happens. Um and when I got into that game with Cortex, which, in the game was Sabiolbi, and his buddy at the time, Jordan, it something just clicked. I was just like expecting a sexist comment to happen, and it didn't happen. Whoa, the bare minimum. And
true.
I don't even remember if we won or lost that game on Circuit Royale, but it was like the first time I felt like I was seen and I felt like I could actually stack with some people and like take a break from solo queue because that was a solo queue grind time and actually like make some friends in a while. So yeah, and unfortunately, Jordan just kind of like disappeared. Like I tried reaching out to him for some games, and I think he just wants to play with his roommate, unfortunately. So I don't play as much with them anymore, as it is. Friendships fall out.
Yep, I know that all too well.
Yep.
But yeah, nah, that's actually really interesting because that's how I actually met one of my longtime duos. He was a semi-pro. He actually played on a semi-pro team. Like he played for money on Overwatch, and he was
Hmm.
GM on his main account. And it was interesting because he was on a lower account. He was in bronze. I was bronze at one point, by the way, and I was slowly
We all
working
were.
my
We
way
all get
up.
there.
I was slowly working my way up through the ranks, and then all of a sudden he found me, and he actually thought I was a Smurf because of how I was positioning and how I knew so much Rhine Tech. He thought I was a Smurf because of just my knowledge in the game, and I'm
That's
like,
hilarious.
no, I'm actually bronze. And he's like, no, seriously, what rank are you? And I'm like, bronze. He's like, no, seriously. And I'm like, I'm serious. I'm bronze. Please help me. But yeah, not that's unfortunately we have fallen out of favor with one another. But he taught me a lot about the game. He taught me a lot about the game. I taught him what I knew, and we had some fun breaking some shit in the game because that's what we
That's
did.
great.
All we did was break shit. And there's still a set dynamite on Eichenwald that works with Ash that we found. It still works.
Yo.
You can hit a dynamite as soon as the spawn doors open for attackers from the defense. It's actually kind of insane.
Oh,
You can get
jeez.
upwards of like 25% ult charge off of it if you
Oh
hit
my
like
god.
five people. If you hit all five people, you
You'll
can.
have to show me that sometime. That's
It's
crazy.
it's really fucking it's really fucking good. It's a good spot. It's like a set anonade or something like that. Like we decided to just go on Eichenwald and just say, fuck it, we're gonna break this map. And we spent like 3 hours breaking that shit. So you and Cortex met in Overwatch 2. What season of Overwatch 2?
Oh god, I want to say it was 2 or 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly, but I remember it being around March or April of 2023. So we've probably known each other.
Almost a year.
Yeah, almost.
That's
And
crazy.
I
Moving on. So the last question we have, and we can go on for a bit more if you want, if you have any questions that you want to ask me, or if you have any questions that someone in your community wants to ask you. What made you keep making content, and why do you strive to do it?
I do really like playing the numbers game, I will not lie. It is very satisfying to put in effort into a video and then have all the people like it, see how creative people get in the comments, interact with people who are in your comments, interact in DMs, have people asking to play with ya. It's all very satisfying, even if I don't get the chance to play with every single person who asks, because obviously I can't run 5 stacks and switch out people every game. That would be ridiculous. But it's something that I've really had a knack for and a drive for ever since, like I said, I was in middle school. And it helps that I'm not stressed out with school all the time, and I can actually make content when I'm off of work instead of having to worry about and have in the back of my mind, oh, I have this thing that's due this weekend. None of that's in my life anymore. So I can just make what I want to make, play the games I want to play, and nobody can control that anymore. And it's a great privilege and liberty that I get to have now that I'm,
Older.
living my own life.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. No. That's extremely important because, like, in content creation, it's a it's a full time job in and of itself. You have to have the idea for the video. You have to film the video. You have to edit the video. You have to put music on the video, especially on TikTok. TikTok is so much work to edit videos unless you
Oh
know
my
what the
god, tell
fuck
me
you're
about it.
doing.
Yeah, I'm still struggling to find an exact format that I want to stick with, and I used to edit using Final Cut on my Mac, and it just was so tedious. And then I swapped over to using just straight up TikTok because they have some editing stuff in there, and then I switched to using CapCut, and I'm now realizing the power of CapCut as a mobile app is like insane. It's super convenient
Yeah.
and easy to use, and I can post things more often. And
Hmm.
it's also really difficult to figure out how long you want a video to be, because if you don't keep the attention of the people who are watching, your video's not gonna do well. So either you have to make it like a one-liner that's like a video that's 5 to 10 seconds long, or you have to make it a whole sequence of shorter clips that are all packed into one that's a minute or longer.
Kind of like a mini
And it's
montage.
yeah, it's really hard to figure out which you want to do. And if you post like one little one-liner, it's like, is that enough to be considered funny? Like, are people actually going to react to that little 5-second snippet?
Yeah. That's where a lot of the attention span really comes in because, like,
It really is.
I've
This
I've seen
generation.
this generation just but I've seen so many different content creators that make like best ofs at the end of every year. They make those best ofs like an hour to an hour and a half long, and I'm like, I'll watch it because I like their content, but not everybody's gonna watch that. Like, yeah, it's
Exactly.
a montage. Yeah, it's a montage of like your best ofs. But like it's gonna take the normal person like 5 to 6 days to watch an hour and a half of videos. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
sit here and watch it because I have nothing better to do with my life. But not everybody's gonna do that.
Yeah, it's really hard because I think if you want to increase your audience, you have to find something that is really gonna slap them in the face and make them head over heels for you and follow your account immediately. Or you just have to depend on your built-in audience, and depending on that built-in audience is the only way, like you said, you're going to get someone to watch that longer content. And even on TikTok, the only people who are going to be watching my minute-long video are going to be, with this attention span generation we have, myself included. I'm guilty of it, of course.
Same.
You're only going to have your dedicated people who know you for you,
everybody has their own sort of niche thing, like we've talked about before. Everybody has their own sort of niche thing. For you, it's cosplay, it's Vocaloid, it's stuff like that. For me, it's sort of educational. I'm trying to go for that educational route because I am really knowledgeable about the game, and I do like learning different games, and I learn games really fast. So being knowledgeable and that kind of stuff kind of helps me out in that process.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's interesting, especially trying to pick out what clips will make the cut and what clips won't, especially
Exactly.
for TikTok. Because TikTok, like you said, there's only so many ways you can get a pretty mercy res.
Yep, it's true.
This was a pretty fun podcast, I would say, even though we had some ups and downs. Um is there any question that you want to ask me, or any question that someone from your community has asked you before that you haven't really gone over until now?
I'm wondering when you're gonna pick up the TikTok slack.
Oh honey, no. Oh honey, no.
Yes.
Nah, I
Yes.
can't.
Post your clips, Anubis, your Torb clips.
Bruh, nah, 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 not my Torb
Yes.
clips.
There are no Torb mains on TikTok. You need to take that up.
Oh my god. Honestly, I think the only Torb main that I've seen on TikTok is Silvok. Because
Oh, I
I
don't
think
even know them.
Silvok is he's been GM. He was top 500 in Overwatch 1, and he's like low to mid GM consistently in Overwatch 2. He's a Torb one trick. And all he does on his stream is just get fucking plastered high. He gets like cloud fucking 10 high and just plays Torb.
Oh my god, that sounds funny.
He's really chill too. But yeah, nah. I might. Honestly, I might, because I do need to start posting on TikTok more, and
Do it.
I need to bring more attention to my my content and other people's that I play with content.
Yeah, and if you need any advice on, growing audience on TikTok, like my DMs are open and I've got some little tips and tricks that, I'll only share one on one.
I'll might take you up on that. But
Yeah.
thank you for being a guest on my podcast. I really appreciate it. I think we had a really good conversation.
Yeah, of
Thank you
course. I look
for
forward
thank
look
you
forward to
for all
hearing your
the
other ones with all the others.
I look forward to hearing them too. But yeah, I will talk to y'all later. Bye.